Good to see you again. Today, we're going to show you how to make one of these. That's right, we're building Boffers today on Caddock's Castle. Hey everybody, welcome back. All right, here we go. This is all the stuff that you're gonna need to make yourself an Omni-Blade Boffer weapon. We've got tape, scissors, a cloth cover, dots that are made out of camping foam, a core of some sort, as well as a thing of pipe insulation. Or actually, like you can see, it's kind of almost like a pool noodle, but do not use pool noodles for your Omni Blades. Padding for the inside, a pommel, what's called a donut. It's about a 1-inch section of the same material of the pommel and the actual blade. We also have a box cutter down there just in case we need it. Now, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take your core. I like to use bamboo, and if your core is too small to go on ahead and fit really snugly inside of your padding, you're gonna take this core and you're going to pad it out. Here we go. And the only thing we need for that is the pair of scissors, the packing tape, and our pieces of foam padding. And here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take my packing tape, and I'm gonna cut myself two small pieces. I'm gonna use the edge of the table here, so that way it can just dangle off and goes right there. And if you're ever having trouble with your packing tape, what I like to do is I like to take a little piece of it and I like to put it over the edge of my table and let the weight of the tape kind of pull it off to the side. And I'll go ahead and shift my table there so you can kind of see, just hanging off the edge there. And you can kind of just see that it's just chilling out there. What I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna take my little strip of packing tape that I have. I'm gonna leave about 1 inch on the edge, 1 to 2 inches on that edge, the foam itself, and then a larger tail. And I'm going to torque this around the core of the actual piece. What that means by torquing is I've applied this end so it gets me a kind of a foothold or a base. I wrap the foam around, and as I'm doing so, I'm compressing it with the packing tape. I'm pulling and I'm pulling down and pulling down and making it nice and tight and strong. That's not going anywhere. I'm gonna repeat that process, going on ahead maybe about the middle of where I think the blade is gonna be. So there again, I put my footing right there, wrap the tape around, and then I start to wrap the actual foam around using the tape. And I am gonna just really tighten down on this guy right here. Ha 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 ha. Now, I have this padding right here that will make sure that my blade doesn't do something called rattling, which is where the core inside begins to bounce against the actual foam that's creating the weapon. Now that I've got my padding, my little pieces of padding right here, I'm gonna take my piece of the blade that I actually have, and I am going to squeeze that into the actual blade. Now this stuff is packing foam, this stuff is pipe insulation. So it has a little seam on it that you peel the plastic off, stick it together, and it's all good. And what I'm gonna do, nice tight fit, which is good. I like those. Nice tight fits to my weapons. Okay, cool. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go on ahead and try to feel, you can probably see, I'll try to get that so you can see, you can just see the core inside of the weapon itself, right? This is where this little guy comes in. This is a stabbing or compression tip. I take this little donut, and you can see the pipe insulation I was talking about. It's got the little plastic pieces where you can glue it. But I'm gonna take this guy, and I'm gonna cut him into quarters. Woo, that one's gone. I'm gonna take this and I'm going to align it the same direction that my piece would be running. I'm gonna squeeze it tightly. And then I'm gonna take it and put it inside this hole. That gives me some sort of buffer between the end of my weapon and the dots that I'm about to put on to the end of my weapon. Okay, so we're going ahead and I put the dots on top of that, and I'll put packing tape on that as well, just so you get an idea of what that looks like before we, have a transition into the final kind of looking piece. There's my compression tip inside. I would put a dot and a dot on top to give me not just 1 inch, but almost 2 inches of compression before we get to the core. Okay. And we'll just go ahead and tape this guy and come right back to you. Okay, here we go. Boom. Ha ha ha. I've got my blade covered in packing tape. I also have my dots that are all the way compressed. Once I get this guy taped on, I like to grab the end of my sword and push whoop, whoop, from the back end to just settle everything down in there. Getting a little bit of a pop and a rattle inside of there, but I'm not necessarily worried about that because that's gonna go away when we do this next part. Now that I've got my blade on the actual core, I'm gonna go on ahead and torque the bottom. To do this, I'm gonna take my tape, my packing tape, put that almost, actually at the very edge of the actual weapon. And I'm gonna go around once. No tightening or anything. Nothing. Just getting myself a footing right there. Next thing I'm gonna wanna do, and once I go all the way around just once, just getting the tape all the way around, now I'm gonna start torquing. And to do that, I like to brace it with my elbow, and I start pulling the tape around with the foam. Little bit of a strength thing. This may not be for everyone, but it gives me a nice kind of beveled edge. Some people will actually glue their core inside of their foam. It's absolutely fine as long as it's acceptable to your LARP and able to be used that way. Just make sure you double check your rulebook. But I'm gonna go on ahead. All right, so I went on ahead and I have gone on ahead and taped the edge of my blade right here, and I got the tape running the whole way down, and I was trying to go on ahead and show you guys the torquing mechanism down here at the bottom when I whacked my camera. So there might be some blooper footage of the camera going like way out and about, but I'm gonna show you guys torquing again because it's you can torque as much times as you want to down here at the base of the blade. To torque, I simply take my tape and go around once, no compression. And then I brace it under my armpit a little bit, and then I start pulling around. I'm pressing the foam and making kind of this conical shape coming down. And this is a delightful sound, by the way. If you get into foam smithing and building your own Boffer weapons, that will be a sound you're gonna hear a lot, is that crinkling of packing tape. And essentially, that's it right there. That's kind of what I've got. Now what I want to make sure I'm not getting is something called walking. I want to make sure that my blade doesn't rotate around and it doesn't move back and forth. It doesn't walk forwards and backwards and around the core. If it does, apply more packing tape down here to go ahead and give yourself something a little bit stronger, or make sure that you have enough pieces of the actual little pieces of foam in the correct spaces to fill out and get the whole part of the blade. Nice and solid, no more rattle. That's what we want, right? Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna repeat this process of getting the foam, maybe patting it out a little bit, getting the cap on the back end of this. All the things I did here on this edge of the blade, I'm just gonna do here, but on a smaller scale. And that's what I'm gonna show. I'm gonna show you guys the finished product because it's pretty easy. Once you see this part's just a tinier version of it.
All right, here we go. The blade is beautifully finished, and as you can see, my pommel here at the end. All right, all done and ready to go. Now, the first thing we want to do before we actually finish this weapon and put a cover on it, which is actually going to be the final step, is you actually want to take this guy and you want to hit yourself with it. You want to hit yourself with it, and you want to check to make sure that you're not feeling core on the actual pommels. If you can feel core there, or you can feel core in the tip of the blade, you kind of get yourself into trouble. You want to make sure it doesn't hurt and that you can't feel any core on either the end or the length of the blade or the very end of the pommel. So I'm going to just do a couple quick test whacks. Cool, feels great. And now you give me a second and we'll put a cover on this bad boy. All right, here we go. And here it is, the beautiful white cover with some amazing cloth athletic tape over top of this blade. I did hand sew the cover, kind of a rush job, but I'm only gonna hit somebody with it. So it's got a little bit of like the dog ears and things on the top, but I'm not necessarily worried about that. But all in all, there it is. One thing I do wanna say is this cloth athletic tape that you can pick up is one of the things I completely forgot to put inside of our supply list. But as you can see, that was used to wrap the handle. It's a nice cloth grip that allows you to go ahead and have a little bit more grip to the actual blade. Some people will pad their handles out. Some people will weight their blades so that the back end's heavier, so their sword tips are a little faster. The thing I want to say is this: it doesn't matter what you do as long as it is adherent to your LARP's rule base. It is amazing. And if you want to make one of these, if you want to do it, just do it. Don't listen to other people telling you this, that, or the other thing. Just do it. Just make it. These are a lot of fun to make. And once you have one of your own, you can take a lot of pride in having your own boffer and also getting out and having your own equipment to go out and fight on your own. And maybe, might be a fun little project to try and figure out. And I hope this video was absolutely helpful to you in crafting one of these. Now you know how to construct your own Boffer weapon. Bear in mind, there are hundreds of ways to build your own Boffer weapon. And as long as it adheres to your live action roleplay's standard and rule base, no one really has the right to say it's a wrong way to build, because it's your own creative way to craft your own Boffer sticks. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Go out there, craft and make your own Boffer sticks, and as always, do gooder.